Today, we are on a ride along with Will Profane for a noir detective story with a twist. Murders, beautiful femme fatales, bizarre scrying, a mysterious author, missing memories. It's just another day in LA. This is Profane.
I'm a geek. I use stop bubbles when I speak. I'm a freak because she's a seed out for me. I'm unique. There is only one of me. I'm complete, so I really don't care what you think of me. I'm a geek.
Hello there, Comic Clan, and welcome to Comics on the Cross, the greatest streamers you've never heard of. I am Cross, and today we are looking at Profane #1 from Boom Studios. Created and written by Peter Milligan, a well-known name in the comics industry in both the USA as well as the UK. Probably best known for his time at DC, writing for the likes of Hellblazer and Batman. He is joined by artist Raul Fernandez, whose own portfolio is pretty expansive and likely most well known for his work at DC, where he's drawn pretty much a who's who of their most well-known characters. The creative team of Profane is rounded out by Giada, Marchisio, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, as the colorist for this, and Jeff Eckleberry as letterer. Profane follows our protagonist, Will Profane, a private investigator in the present day, but the story is told in the style of a gritty noir detective story. If you're familiar with these types of stories, then you'll see a lot of the old school tropes that we know and love. Profane, as we kick off the issue, is breaking into someone's house, running an internal monologue, hinting at how rough his life is, and his main focus is the job. He also meets a beautiful red-headed femme fatale, Honor Diath, which is basically spelt like death but with a apostrophe in the middle, who he immediately takes home and sleeps with, only for her to make an attempt on his life. He meets with a friend who's an informant called Moose, a former fighter turned information seller, and Profane asks him to look into an old enemy, Red Glove. Profane thinks he may be the one behind the attempt on his life, but our story isn't quite as straightforward as it would seem. And spoilers for the first issue, as it is out and I want to go into a full review of it, I think the cliffhanger of the first issue will make you want to pick up the rest of the series, so we are going to be covering it here, but if you don't want to hear it, I completely understand. Initially, as we see Profane breaking into the house, we see his reaction to something that he finds, but then the story cuts to him at a bar, and he has no memory of what he's seen, how he got there. It seems a little bit unusual to him. The next unusual thing is we see Profane using what he calls a scrying technique, which he uses to try and recover his memories. He goes into a back alley and uses bourbon, lipstick, cigarettes, and a novel to try and take his mind back to where he can remember what he was missing. He does indeed go back to those memories and sees bookshelves full of books from a writer called Spud Coltrane and a picture of a woman. He's able to track down this woman who goes by the name Lily Macbeth and tracks her down to a club where she is a singer. He talks with her and asks her about Coltrane. She says that he had promised her immortality. They seem to be chatting casually and kind of hitting it off, until he tells her his name. Lily informs Profane that Will Profane is the name of the hero in Spud Coltrane's detective novels. Profane goes and buys one of the books for himself to confirm this, and confirms that indeed Will Profane is the name of the protagonist in the book. After this, he goes to meet with Moose, and when Moose doesn't show up at his local bar, he finds Moose dead with one of Red Glove's calling cards left at his death scene. Profane, however, then wakes to find himself still scrying in the alley. Everything just as it was when he sat down to scry, except the book he had wasn't the one he thought he'd put down. It was actually one of Coltrane's detective novels. Profane, determined to get to the bottom of what is going on, goes back to Coltrane's house. He finds it just as he remembers, walks through the hallways, sees the things that he had seen previously, that he'd remembered from his scrying. Except now he finds pages describing his encounter with Honor Diath. And then finds pages of Moose's death that he had literally just scried. As he presses forward to find out what's going on, Profane finds Coltrane dead in his study, murdered. And as he starts to put the pieces together, it hits him that he isn't just named after Will Profane in the book. He is Will Profane from the book. He is the fictional character from these books. And his author is now dead. The simple noir story has so many tropes because it is a noir story, a novel. And now our protagonist not only needs to solve who killed his creator, but find out if he has a future and an ending to his story now that Coltrane is dead. The play on why the story felt so very stereotypical noir was beautifully done to subvert expectations in this comic. It wasn't where it seemed like the comic was initially going, and I loved that they were able to create that change and that subversion in it. This is also married well with the concept of the fictional character becoming self-aware and how they respond to that revelation. Immediately I'm reminded of Alan Wake, an amazing game that as you play through, you find pages of your story as they're happening before they've happened to you in game yet. I also find myself thinking of Red Dwarf Back to Earth, the British sci-fi comedy where the crew come to the real world and must confront their creator to beg for more life. Also, Raul Fernandez's art in this first issue is absolutely stunning. We're given an art style in line with that noir setting, but it's also partially juxtaposed with the colours of Giada Marchisio. The colours let you feel the dark tones of the story while also allowing you to see this beautiful pop of colour that grabs your attention in a way that you can't help but notice. It's a really unique style of colouring to the book that I absolutely adore, that makes me feel like I'm reading a gritty noir, but also very Pulp Fiction, kind of in the style of Al Ewing's The Spirit. I'm very excited to pick up issue 2 of Profane and to see where Milligan takes his story from here. This is one that was not on my radar at all, but I am so glad that I had the opportunity to check it out. So glad I was able to read this story, and I think this is definitely one that you need to pick up and check out for yourselves too. But that's it for today. If you would like to see me continue to cover Profane here on the channel, then let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have read it for yourself, leave a comment, let me know what you thought of this first issue. If you liked what you've seen today, then please go ahead and hit that like button, and make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well so that you can catch all of our future comic book reviews here on the channel. But take care for now, and remember, it's a good week to be a geek. We'll see you all next time. Peace.